Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina. I have made a few videos here on YouTube, kind of just being a little vulnerable about my situation. I feel like I have a very unique life story, so I wanted to share it with the world. And I have been in the process of changing my trajectory with life. I was dealt a pretty difficult deck of cards and kind of figured out how to play the game a little bit to turn my life around. So I'm here to help other people do the same, and at least that's my goal. And today I wanted to talk about how you can transform your life if you are coming from foster care, if you're coming from poverty. I've been through that too. If you're lost a loved one, a parent, or if one of your parents are struggling with addiction, all of those things have been, and excuse me, I have Invisalign in. All of those things have been challenges that I personally faced. So I wanted to make a video basically on how I transformed my life. For me personally, I went through college. That may not be everybody's particular path, but if you're coming from an abusive home or a home where there's addiction, or if you don't have a home because you're in foster care, finding autonomy is your top one priority. You need to make sure that you're able to financially provide for yourself. And I know it's exhausting, and I know it's scary. And I know when you're getting into the workforce, you're struggling with insecurities, you're struggling with security in general. Like, you don't have a home base to go to. So like, when your first job happens, typically you're not making much, and it can be extremely discouraging and disheartening. But I'm here to say, if you can find a support system, whether that's having a roommate, they don't necessarily need to be support system like emotionally, but that could be a really good support system with you financially. You might have to have a roommate until you're 30. If I didn't get married, I probably would still have a roommate, to be honest, and I'm doing really well. I have financial stability now in my life. I think the most responsible thing to do when you're completely dependent on yourself is to make sure you're able to always provide for yourself and always have cushion, safety net. Like, you never know when you're gonna pop a tire or, God forbid, have to go to the hospital for something. It's really important that you're able to have some sort of autonomy. And setting yourself up probably will require multiple roommates. And if you're in high school right now, stop caring what other people think. Really try to excel academically. And you may not even want to go to college. I have a degree in behavioral sciences, and it helps me a little bit, but at the end of the day, starting out, I don't know where I could have gone so many different directions. But I think that if you're able to just stay focused and academically keep your record clean, that'll just open a lot of doors for you. And when I say don't care what people think, like, of course, build connections, but I look back on my life and I cared way too much what the wrong people thought of me. And I found love in the wrong people. And looking back on that could have easily messed me up long term. Because when I was in high school, I was such an impressionable young girl, and I just wanted so badly to feel loved, and I trusted a lot of the wrong people. And then a lot of them took some paths that I'm not comfortable with, like, at all. Little quick story time. My first boyfriend called me, so we dated when I was 15. He called me like 6 years later. He calls me from prison. If I continued to nourish that relationship, and through forces outside of me, which I like to call God, he ended that relationship for me because I wanted it so badly to work with not every guy, but like, there was always a weird connection. If someone was able to make me laugh and I found attraction to them, or if they were able to connect with me on a deep level and I was attracted to them, I would cling on to them. And I was expecting to get so much love and so much nourishment from people rather than putting that energy towards myself and trying to understand my life's purpose and trying to grow. I really wanted somebody to grow with. And it's sad because the generation before me, I feel like a lot of times they did find someone to grow with, and a lot of like older millennials will start families young. And that's what I was striving for. My sisters married their high school sweethearts, and that was just not it at my time. And it wasn't it for me. And I honestly, thank God it wasn't, because I wouldn't have been with who I'm with today. And I'm so grateful that I'm with my husband today. But yeah, that also like leads me to, you want you don't want to depend on people. I don't like to be super preachy on this channel, but I'm married to a Muslim and I'm Christian. So I'm very open-minded, but I think the one thing that holds our unity is the fact that we believe in forces bigger than ourselves. And you rely on that and you pray. And I think that can do a lot more healing than damages, to be honest. And so when you, instead of you constantly trying to seek validation from people, especially when you're coming from a troubled home, you are seeking to knowledge. Even if you don't know what religion you're in, half the time I feel like I question everything, but I always come back to Christianity. Like every single time I'm like, but what if? I'm just always personally going back to Jesus. So that may not be you, and that's okay, but I think it's super important to believe in God in general and to constantly keep your focus on his plan for you. And again, you could be Jewish, you could be Christian, you could even be Buddhist, and that could help with your alignment. But I think having that relationship with your creator can help you a lot. And there's healing in it too. I just think that he will also put people in your life to help you. And I say that because I would have never became who I am today if I didn't have the people that God gave me. There's people in my life that were not from God, or maybe they were, maybe there's just lessons I needed to learn from them, but they weren't part of his big picture plan for me, or like his long-term plan for me that I wanted so badly to keep them a part of the long-term plan. But there were people, and I just almost knew. And I didn't really believe in God in high school because I just questioned so much. But for me personally, I started to believe in him through the people he gave me. I noticed a trend that every single person he was putting in my life had a relationship with God, and they went to church pretty much every Sunday. And I became curious, like, okay, why are you guys so nice to me, and why are you guys so loving? And I wanted to be that person to somebody else. So I say all this to say, to stop depending on worldly people that are probably messed up too, especially if you're coming from a messed up background, and really seek your higher purpose and your, like, that higher power, because that can provide more nourishment than any person could. Number 3, when you are coming out of high school and entering adulthood, or if you're still in adulthood and you're just figuring out how you're still in the same situation you were when you were 18, I say that because that is okay, especially when you come from a troubled upbringing. It takes us longer. There's no way that you're gonna be where somebody that has a loving, financially stable home, you're not gonna be on the same path as them, unless you're really smart and you love school and you're in med school, maybe. But then again, you're gonna still not have the nicest car because you're just trying to get through med school. But I say this to say, like, when you're in that phase of adulthood, sometimes you're gonna come across partying and drinking and stuff. I want to emphasize, because this is something I wish I took more seriously, I have no reason to be partying excessively. I had no reason to, and I was celebrating nothing. Honestly, it was a random Tuesday. We had a bar in my town that would do something called full SHIT bingo. And I would go every Tuesday to make it to my class. But my grades were very much not the greatest, and they could have been so much better, and I could have been a little bit more focused and aligned had I not did that every other day. Did I make friends? Yes. Did I make all great friends? No, because who was there for me after my dad passed? Like 2 people. So it's like those relationships were so lacking in depth, and I'm the type of person where I need a lot of depth, and you probably are too, because you've been in the trenches. If you're watching this video, if you took the time to search this caption, you've been through it, and you want somebody that you can relate to. And growing up in Columbus, Ohio, I had a lot of people that I could relate to, but they were also troubled too. And then I moved to Louisiana, in the area that I live, the foster care is like almost unheard of, at least in the demographic that I'm around. So yeah, it was like a 360. So it's just, they were always constantly celebrating because they had nothing else to do, and I had to really, again, my upbringing was different, so I needed to try a little harder. I needed to be a little more focused. And so that just makes me want to say, like, there's no reason and for you to want to constantly party, and like, you're not missing out if you're not. So staying sober can help change your life is what I'm trying to get at. Because I've too often seen, especially my friends that came from similar backgrounds in Ohio, too often I've seen that they never got out of the situation that they were in, only because, and I've seen people that came from really good families are like still struggling a little bit more than I am currently. And I'm like, how did the tables turn in that situation? And I mean, no hate about that. It's just, it's so important to stay focused on your specific goals and not to get distracted. You're very vulnerable if you have a rough upbringing. And sometimes family, the friends that you're partying with have a good family, they always have something to fall back on. I didn't. I just think of the times that I would drive a little intoxicated, and if I got pulled over, I would have gotten a DUI. And I could never do that now because, God forbid, an accident happened. Like, that just could have ruined my entire life. Not besides where I came from. It's just, that would have just been another financial burden. Or if I got into addiction, no one's gonna care about me. I'm gonna be homeless. So I really think it's so important to stay sober, especially during a time that you're trying to transition your life. I went from literally foster care, moved with my mom that struggled with addiction, lived with my grandparents. My grandparents were not that supportive. Moved states to be with my dad. My dad passed away. And then I go to college and I'm just trying to make it. And it was a really rough time, and it was never smooth sailing. And now at one point I lived with an ex-boyfriend, and then I was homeless. And so I was like living off of my friend's couch, and now I have a house and a person that loves me. I'm in my forever home, and I'm in a happy marriage. And I just, I think everything has its purpose, but I think the biggest thing for me was I stayed focused, and I constantly was seeking the higher power. And I think that can keep you grounded. It can keep you curious, and it can keep you around interesting people that may help you along the way and help you find your purpose. But it also, like, being a trustworthy person will bring people around you that actually want to help you. You don't want to be the person where, if I was already troubled, like, sure, people probably want to help me, but I know for me personally, I struggle with wanting to help people that I think are going to take advantage of me or manipulate me or continuously ask for more. That's where I think a lot of people have hesitation with providing a helping hand. And I tried not to be that person. But I genuinely want people to be able to look back at their life and be as grateful as I am. And if not, I want people to end up better than I am. And that's the whole reason that I wanted to make this video. This is just some 3 pointers that I have to go off of my foster care experience. If there's any other videos that you would like for me to make, go ahead. I'm trying to make this channel a little bit more beneficial for my viewers, and I'm not opposed to sharing more story times, but sometimes it just turns into me telling a story with no value. So I'm trying to add a little bit more value to help people and maybe get some more traction on this channel. Again, I also really struggle with depersonalization, derealization. I struggled a lot mentally, and I made a whole video on that, how I kind of overcame it. And I think that could make a whole part series on that alone, and also this too, because I didn't just do these 3 things. I know being in the situation is a lot easier, not easier, it's a lot more complex than me just sitting in a video 10 years later, just telling you how I made it. But I thought that this would be a good start. So would love to hear your thoughts. And I would love to help you if any way I can. Share some comments and love to get a chat going. Thanks.